We slept in a bamboo hut on the floor under some mosquito nets.
And one night in particular, I guess there were rodents at the time. And I remember the trap was about yay long, it was square, and it was right behind a big thing of all the rice that they had. I look up to the ceiling, I'm seeing geckos crawl across the bamboo. And I'm going, this is not going to be a good night. And I recall Pastor had some earplugs, and I remember he said something specific to me. It was a prophecy to some point. He said, "How much do you want to hear?" And I took the earplugs, and he slept sound. I'm like, dude, how could you sleep? I mean, they're all over the place. Didn't even flinch. He just slept cool.
Well, it's not the most comfortable thing, but we endured it. Bathroom facilities, for those of you who are familiar with the South, would understand outhouses. Showers were with cold water, very cold water, very, very cold water, very, very cold water. But we adjusted to that. As we arose, it was very cold, which was odd because when we came in, it was very warm. But that morning, it was cold, to the point where you had to put on a coat. And we were awakened about 6:30 every morning with smell from the fires, because they would always start a fire about 6:20, as I remember, and almost like clockwork. The village would wake up, and so you would have the smell of fire to kind of awaken you. We would gather together at one of the huts where we would kind of have coffee and maybe some fruit. From there, we would go and have breakfast. Breakfast was in fact, the food was very interesting. In America, we have a variety of food. Breakfast is distinctly different from lunch. Lunch is typically very distinctive from dinner. But in Thailand, in the village we were in, they're pretty much all the same. You had rice for every meal, typically cabbage for every meal, or some greens for every meal. Probably the only thing that set breakfast apart sometimes was that you had fried eggs. But for the most part, it was rice and cabbage, bits of meat, and some stuff that I didn't really recognize. The daily routine was such that we went up into the forest. Actually, jungle is probably a better term. We went up into the jungle, which was about 3.5 miles from the village. We went up to the stream head, I would guess you would call it, where they actually dammed up a stream, and we laid pipe from that stream head all the way down into the village, which is about 3.5 miles through some very dense forest. The Aka men had, before we came, went through and kind of blazed the trail and cut a trail through the jungle. But it was at times it was very, very hard just to walk, because a lot of times it was off the side of a hill. They seemed to have no problem at all doing that, walking through the jungle. It was quite a challenge for me, at least, to do that. And it was hot, and a lot of times you're just hanging off the side of a hill, but we got it done.
Out in the jungle, some of the more unique experiences, you're going to sweat, you're going to drip with water. My back hurts, but everything is okay. We're going. We're laying pipe. Everyone's working. Some of the individuals are laying pipe, dropping the pipe where the pipe is to be connected. Other people are connecting. And I'm thinking, I'm working with the Aka men, and they're all with me. Then all of a sudden, I lose 2 of the men. And I'm going, what's going on? So a few of them start digging, as if something was wrong. I guess I thought in my mind's eye, well, maybe they were trying to find something. But they were digging for this groundhog. Now, when we say groundhog in Colorado, we're thinking of little light brown, little furry things. No, this is the real mole, groundhog, bury yourself groundhog. These guys dug a hole, and I mean a hole. They went after this thing. And it was like at the end of all of this, the hole was almost like the size of like a baby grand piano. And they finally caught this thing, and they actually thought they had an achievement. And afterwards, I had to catch myself and realize that I was truly Western. I wasn't looking at it through their eyes. I wasn't looking at it through any eyes of the Lord at the time. I was looking at it through my eyes like, we got to lay pipe, we got to get this pipe done. We're trying to get you water, and you're digging for a groundhog.
One of the things that I remember was that on the first day, we had lunch. We had lunch in the jungle. And in my Western mind, I'm thinking, you know, that they will bring in some hamburgers, some French fries, you know, some sandwiches or something. And, you know, they brought in, you know, cabbage and rice and meat and some fried egg. And, you know, and after a hard day in the jungle, that's just not quite what I wanted to see. After a long day in the jungle, we would come home, take a cold shower. And then the Aka men played a game that was called lacrosse. And it is like volleyball, except that you do not use your hands. They basically use their feet. You kick it from one side to the other. And it was just amazing to see the athleticism that they had in terms of being able to play that. But probably more importantly, after a day of walking through the jungle and laying pipe, to see the energy that they still had. You know, we were pretty much tapped out, but they were able to play that. We would eat dinner, and then after dinner it was basically time to go to bed. So it was from sunrise to sunset. And for those of us who are, you know, used to sitting up and watching, you know, Jay Leno and you know, the late night news and all those kind of things, it was quite a challenge to be in bed at 6:30 or 7 o'clock and to stay there until the sun came up the next day. And when it gets dark there, it gets dark there. You don't walk around unless you have a flashlight, because it gets really, really dark.
When the sun goes down, that's it. That's it until the sun comes back up. Nothing happens between sundown and sunup but sleep. And that took an adjustment. That was an adjustment for me. The true purpose of the trip was to bring water to the Aka people, and that will prove to be, for me, the most central theme of why are you here. As a Westerner, you want to do so much more because you come in with an advanced mindset. You come in with a sense of architecture, a sense of engineering, all these big picture concepts, but none of them will work if there's not clean water. It was so foundational that no matter what else we tried to do, still had to come back to, if you don't have clean water, you don't have sanitation, you can't move into education, you can't move into the building of it, because you don't have clean water.
The things that I learned, I came away with a greater appreciation for the simple things that we have here in America, such as being able to go to a water faucet